they just offered me the severance package, and it's an absolute joke. $1,800 a month per year of service that you've been working here, which for me would times 24 years would add up to about 43,200. You know how fast you can blow through $43,000? That's not even a down payment on a house. I live in Northern California. It's an absolute joke. I don't see anybody I don't think anybody should take it. Just hang on to it. Let them lay you off and collect your unemployment. Let them, you will be the first one to get hired in peak season. Keep your seniority date. Collect your unemployment. We got to force this on, dude. Like, they're trying to get out of the contract, and it's not because it's not a bad one. They just want more money. It's just straight up corporate greed. That's what it is. Don't do it. The only people I can see that this making sense for is somebody that's already been eligible for retirement, and they just been hanging on. This might push some of the more senior guys out of the top, but if you're not eligible for retirement yet, and there's a simple formula to figure that out, then don't take it. The formula to figure out your retirement is time worked plus age. If that equals 80, then you are eligible for retirement. And for me, that'll be when I'm 49. 49 plus 31 years of service, because I've been here since I was 18. That's 49 years old. I'll be eligible for retirement. So I got another 7 years before that happens. And it's a third of a year's pay. 43,000, one third of 1 year's pay. That absolutely ridiculous. Nobody take that. Force their hand. Force them to lay you off and collect your unemployment. And then just wait your turn. Keep your seniority date.
So I don't even believe that this is the first phase of a longer term plan that UPS is basically implementing. And first, before I get into that, for those of you that may be new to the channel, I've been following this closely, watching it. I've been talking about it on the Millionaire Morning Show, which is a separate channel that I usually talk about whatever's happening in popular culture, business, politics, so on and so forth. But essentially, UPS is at a crossroads because they have high costs. They are the highest cost carrier outside of the United States Postal Service, which the United States Postal Service is protected by taxpayers, which is one of the reasons why they continue to get bailouts, even though they're operating at billion-dollar losses year over year over year. But outside of that, the Trump administration is actually trying to figure out how to privatize. I believe they're trying to figure out how to privatize to spin off all of the additional costs that come with USPS. But outside of that, the United States Postal Service, UPS is the highest cost, and they're trying to figure out how to cut costs in order to continue to stay competitive with the likes of Amazon and FedEx. Now, on the flip side of that, Amazon is also subsidized by Amazon Web Services, the Amazon website, and so many other entities that they generate revenue from. And so they are more or less concerned with growth, their footprint, being able to exercise certain options based off of proximity, so on and so forth. And I think that Amazon is also positioning themselves when they took away certain work from UPS, and which also increased the cost of what was happening over in UPS, in addition to the contracts that they recently signed last year. So the big three, as far as the automakers, they all signed contracts, new contracts, which exponentially increase the cost, which flies in the face of what he's talking about, because although he is correct when it comes to the retirement, and I'll get into that in a minute, who they're targeting, he's correct with regard to that. He doesn't understand exactly what the cost structure is, and you'd actually have to be paying attention to the shareholder calls, looking at their debt to income ratio, looking at their quarterly profit and their year projections. And so if you're starting to focus on that, you can't just say it's corporate greed, because it's not about corporate greed when you're a publicly traded company. You have to return value back to the shareholders, and you also have to be competitive, because there are several carriers that have went out of business, in addition to the growth of AI and physical AI that Amazon is also implementing so that they can continue to trim costs. Now, what's really happening with UPS, I believe, in the first phase, because layoffs will eventually come, and it's not that they're trying to get out of the contract. They can't get out of the contract, but at the same time, they can't remain competitive with other people, especially when you talk about the fact that Amazon, for example, has a lot of contractors and not people on the books. Think about it from this frame, because this is a lot of information to take in such a short amount of time. Big three. Ford, Chrysler, and GM. One of the things that crippled them was legacy costs. Legacy costs when it came to paying out people's pensions, healthcare coverage, the UAW, exploding contracts, so on and so forth. Japanese automakers came into the United States of America and started taking their lunch. One of the ways that they was able to do it is they were all able to compete better, faster, with better products with the Toyota way, so on and so forth. But at the same time, they didn't have the same costs that was associated with the big three. So the cost to be able to manufacture a vehicle, which pricing pressure with more competition, lowered the cost, which basically drove out the ability for them to be able to make a car at a profitable margin, which is one of the reasons why you've seen Trump renegotiate NAFTA and so on and so forth. You can't compete when you have an exorbitant amount of legacy costs and people saying, pay me a fair wage, whereas they are continuously driving up profits and expanding inside of the United States of America. That's the same thing that's happening when it comes to these carriers, okay? So it's a very basic math problem. Revenue, profit going down, almost going into the red, while you got Amazon that doesn't even care whether or not they're profitable when it comes to their delivery services because they are subsidized by Amazon Web Services and so on and so forth. FedEx is also a lower cost carrier because FedEx has more contractors and less overhead costs than UPS. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what he's saying. I believe that this first wave is targeting people that are at retirement age but do not want to let go and want to continue to work. It possibly pushes them into retirement and gives them an incentive to say, you know what, I've been with the company for 30 years. They giving me a payment to leave and I can take my retirement at the same time. Time to pivot and figure out what it is that I want to do with the rest of my time, or start a business or go into another, get another job and take the payment. If additional people decide that they want to leave on top of that, that is a plus. But make no mistake about it, UPS is going to smart distribution centers to minimize the amount of shrink, the amount of people that call off, the additional costs that it take in order to run their businesses. And they are going to hope for natural attrition, meaning people getting fired, people quitting, so on and so forth, and moving over into different jobs, all of that, because it is the only way that long term they will be able to survive when it comes to what it is that they're trying to do and how they're trying to compete in their business. They are a one-trick pony. They do not have any other way for them to generate revenue. They only deliver packages. That is it. They are a shipping company. They do not have any other way that they can grow income. They do not have anything else that they can lean onto, or another company that they can lean onto. They are the Netflix minus the profitability of their segment, and they are trying to compete against the behemoths. That is the basic thing of it. So these people are going to, I understand what his sentiment is, and he's saying, listen, if it's a third of the pay, which $43,000, which basically puts you at about $130,000 a year, that is his annual income. Of course, he's not going to take it, right? Of course, he's going to tell his friends not to take it because they can generate so much more revenue, especially when it comes to overtime. But they are trying to get these people that have legacy costs out the door so that they can minimize the amount of layoffs that they have at the bottom of people that's trying to get promoted into being a driver. And then ultimately, hopefully, they can more competitively compete with lowering the costs and adding shareholder value, because the CEO's pay and the corporate executive pay is closely tied to the performance of the company. If y'all want to know more about this type of stuff, then make sure you tap into the Patreon link is in the description. I break down the charts, I break down the profitability, I break down the 8 things that we look for in order to invest in a company. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Also, subscribe to this channel in the Millionaire Morning Show. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep you guys up to date on what's going on with these UPS layoffs.